Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's WOW session. Thank you for joining us on this Friday morning in this hot summer humid weather in St. Louis, if you're in St. Louis, or maybe you're in Florida and it's hot and humid there as well, probably. Anywhere in the Midwest, it's probably hot and humid. Welcome to today's session. My name is Erin Miley. I'm one of the product managers here at AIM. If you ever need any help or need any assistance, feel free to reach out. This is a webinar. You can see and hear us, but we cannot see or hear you. So how you will interact with us today, that will be through the chat function. It is located at the bottom of your screen. If you do not readily see it there, please find the more option. It is a circle with three dots. You will click on that and it should pop right up there for you to find the chat. I will go ahead and start us out by saying good morning. Oh, there we go. Thank you, Julie. So if you want to interact with us today, I will be monitoring that for our presenter. So if you have any questions or anything like that, feel free to interact with us that way, and we will be monitoring that as we go along. We have a jam-packed session for you, and we have a returning individual. I think this is year 5.
Yeah, something like that.
I mean, this is one of our more popular sessions. We have you coming back year over year because you guys do an awesome job collecting information. So, Derek Duncan is with us again for year 5, although not in your birthday month. So, we
That's
actually
right.
up a month this year. So, we're not in your birthday week, sadly to say, but we are bringing our great partner USI back to relay the results of their annual survey that they do for trends and benefits and what they're seeing across their clients, what they're doing, what they're experiencing, and he's going to relay those results to us, plus what they're seeing amongst their own clients, and giving us kind of like his insights and all that kind of fun stuff for us today. So for the multi-year in a row, because it's a popular one by demand. Derek, why don't you go ahead and take it away?
Hello, hello, hello. And if I am one of the more popular ones, y'all are a bunch of nerds. Come on now. Come on now.
Hey, I am definitely a nerd. I
I
am
am
definitely
too.
a
I,
self-professed nerd.
I am too. I literally put it in my presentations. I'm like, hey, y'all want to nerd out for a couple hours? Let's do it. No, hello and good morning, everyone. Happy summer. Hope things are going well. And I realize I am standing between you and jetting through the rest of this day and getting to the weekend. So we'll keep that in mind as we go. But yeah, we got a lot of really fun data to share. We will share this presentation afterwards. We've crafted this as we normally do. We've crafted this to the central region. We had over 11,000 employers participate last year. I think 3 or 4 years ago, we officially reached largest. We are the largest benchmarking survey in the mid market period in the world. So if you have between 25 employees and 2,500 employees, this is the survey you want. But we've continued to kind of stretch that gap and that goal. So a lot of fun. And let's rock and roll. Yes, welcome Bloomington, Illinois in the house. I love it. I love the shout outs. So here we go. And please throw questions in the webinar chat. You know me. I may bust out some music, so play some Purple Rain or something here as we do question and answer sessions. But we always love getting your questions. So bear with me, if you will, just a moment as I pull up my, and I'm going to be fancy today. I'm going to try to do it in presenter mode. So we'll see how it works out, but stick with me if you will. Okay.
Not in presenter mode.
It's not.
Well, we see your behind the scenes
Oh,
presentation. So
you do?
yeah,
Okay.
on
So
screen.
I've already goofed up. All right. Well, let's try this then.
No worries. We love a
I
good,
think I picked the wrong screen. Yep, I
yeah,
did.
we love a good multi-screen moment. I deal with at least 3 minimum. I wish I
Yeah.
had 4,
How's,
although I think that might be a little too much.
how's this?
Much. Perfect.
Okay. Excellent. And Aaron, if you will, then if you could quarterback the questions as they come in,
Absolutely.
because I think I just screwed up and maximized you all on my screen. Okay, here we go. All right, let's try this now. Here we go. Okay, so plans and trends. A couple housekeeping, well, just quick housekeeping is that, again, we're going to send this out as after this is over. And then this is not the full survey. So as we've talked about in years past, the full survey is 50 some odd pages of super, super nerd detail, which is wonderful. And if you want to do that, I had a bunch of you reach out last year. If you want that full data and you want it customized to your organization for AIM members, we do that completely free of charge. And so please just reach out to me. I'd be happy to get you that information. And it breaks everything we're going to go down into in much more detail. And it'll show how your organization stacks up against the region, your size segment, or if you have a particular industry that you compete for employees against. I don't know. One time I had someone say ask me if we had coal mining. I'm like, there's no way we have coal mining. There's a 0% chance. We had it. So as long as we have 15 employers that participate that are in that SIC code, we have that as a what we call a cut. So please, don't hesitate. I'm Derek Duncan. I've been with the USI for, oh my gosh, 14 years. Holy cow. Long time, and love what I do and get really passionate about helping groups with, and their employees. And so driving the foundation of that is understanding where you are, what you're doing, where you're, sort of where your plan stacks up against peers, and what that looks like. So today, I don't know why this keeps happening. Sorry, everyone. Today, we're going to go through the role of benchmarking. We're going to look at your plan. Stop it. Specifically from the employee's perspective. Then we're going to look at plan strategy and the employer piece, some other plan components. So why is it important? Well, we all know why it's important, right? But unemployment rate is usually at the top of that list, 4.2% unemployment. Okay. Last year we had $630 billion of voluntary turnover costs for US employers. So again, this wasn't a situation where they were cutting costs because they had to as an employee group. These were folks who left because they weren't happy or they had a better opportunity somewhere else. And so leveraging your benefit program and understanding your costs versus those you're competing for employees against, as far as an aggregate is concerned, it's important. It's expensive to hire new people. It's expensive and costly to train new people. I know I'm preaching to the choir here. So we look at, in today's world, anywhere between 90 and 200% of an employee's annual salary may be associated with total cost of turnover. That's a lot. So if we can use a program like benefits to retain those folks, then let's do it. So it's really tough to find the right balance for your programs. You really have to consider a lot of different things. Usually the top 5 concerns for employee benefits are obviously payroll deductions, plan designs, and the employee contributions, which we'll talk about in a moment. The ability for them to kind of customize to what they want and what they need. Any sort of like additional value add services, financial health and wellness is a huge one now that we're really pushing, and we'll talk about today. And then lastly, obviously, employee satisfaction. By comparing your benefit program to those of similar companies, again, whether by industry or size or region, you gain really valuable context, insight that can help you fine tune your offerings and really prioritize what matters most and build a benefit strategy that supports both your workforce and your bottom line. Oh, this is fun and new. Oh, I didn't know we had this added. Oh, very cool. A couple questions to ask yourself. Here we go. Even I'm learning. One, is your company spending too much on benefits? You're probably all laughing right now. Me too. And two, the cost of turnover being what it is the company needing to spend more on benefits to attract and retain talent? Those are two just kind of thought-provoking questions as we go through here. So some of these slides are automatically flipping, folks. I apologize. I'll try to hold them as off as best I can. Plan design, payroll contributions, and overall value are what we're going to focus on and look at in the kind of the study today. If you want to see total costs, like employer costs and whatnot, that's in the full report. Again, happy to get that for you. But this is what we're going to focus on for today's presentation. So you really have three types of employees. Okay, we've kind of categorized them based on what we see out in the marketplace. And when it comes to that, as far as selecting a plan, they pick based on their household income typically. So, 60 years ago, there were a lot of one income families, and so it kind of was we've seen variance through the different decades as we go here, but we kind of categorized employees into really three personas, if you will, based on what they're looking at for when they're choosing benefits. First off, some people, they just want the cheapest plan available. Okay, typically those are your folks who aren't really concerned about having some sort of catastrophic health event. They just want to maximize what they net in their paychecks after deductions. All they care about is having the lowest cost plan possible. Usually, a lot of those folks are 27 years old because they've come off mom and dad's plan, right? And so that's always we see some of that. So there's an education piece that really needs to happen for them to understand, and or it could just be an hourly wage worker who is fighting the cost of what's happening in the world of benefits, which stinks. And so we're trying to help companies combat that. The second one on the far side is really kind of the people who just want the best medical coverage money can buy. Now, often these folks are already sick. Okay. A lot of times they're already sick and they know it will benefit them to maximize their coverage, which is why we typically see the richest plan design having the worst loss ratio. And a loss ratio is simply for every dollar you pay in, how much of that is used in claims. Um, any loss ratio under 80% is very good. Most plans like this one we see typically runs 120 to 140%, if that tells you anything, right? They run really high, meaning they spent more than they paid in. So a lot of thoughts and strategies around that. But the idea is kind of this middle person, right? And people who want to optimize their spending, but they also want the best possible value available to them. And we call these people, these magical humans, we call them consumers. It's amazing. They often, if you offer two or more plan options as a group, these folks will tend to flock to the plan that offers the best overall value. And when you consider the value of the plan you're getting for what you're paying to participate, I mean, that's candidly, those are the folks we want to cater to as much as we possibly can. So there should really be a trade-off between the predetermined cost that you charge for your coverage and the employee contributions and how much a member expects to pay when they actually need medical care at the cost of service. So that's what we'll give you some insight on today. I'm trying to see if any questions. Okay, no questions so far. Killing it. Yeah. So the first thing we're going to look at, you remember last year, I used the word sexy and insurance. I don't think those two things belong together. Okay. But if there is a sexy term in insurance, the most popular thing that we come across is so often your employees define either our plan is fine or it sucks. Okay. And it's never good. It's never good. Right. You could have $0 plan. They complain about it, but either it's fine or it sucks. And usually the way they define that is by their first off the deductible. Okay. Deductible. And secondly, the copay. Or I'm sorry, I said the copay. The premium contribution amounts. That's where employees say either our plan is fine or it's terrible based on how much comes out of their pocket every month in known premiums and then what the deductible is. Every once in a while, you may get a more educated consumer that may throw in out-of-pocket max or something, but folks, there's so much more that goes into plan design than just your copay, your coinsurance, your deductible. Okay, so what we do is we actually calculate an actuarial value for your plan richness, and we do it based on plan type. So if you have a PPO and an HSA, we put them in different categories because it's not really fair to compare those two, from a plan percentage perspective. So like you see here, a plan's worth more than the sum of its parts. Deductibles don't tell a full story. Copays often apply to very limited services, and coinsurance out-of-pocket max only work in tandem with deductibles. So an actuarial plan value is a much more, and think of it like, ACA, platinum, gold, silver, bronze. That's kind of what we're calculating, is the overall richness of your plan. So the easiest way, if you break it in layman's terms, it's basically a measurement of what percentage of total cost the plan pays, including any sort of like health reimbursement or health savings accounts, total cost. So that's what we're going to look at. I'm curious, any guesses before I flip over, what percentage of total cost the average PPO covered last year? Any guesses? Excuse me, everyone.
I'm not even going to try to guess.
Allergy pill. Any guesses? Come on, HR people, where you at? What average percentage of cost did the PPO cover this year? I'll give you a hint. It has changed. Oh, here we go. Now we're talking 70, 80, 60, 30. Ooh, 30. Jess. Oh, call me. 30. That's low. We can help you. 80, 80, 50, 80. Okay, very good. We get an educated group. I love it. You're all very, very close. Some of you nailed it. So a traditional PPO plan in our survey this year, we found was an average actuarial value of 80%. Well done. Everybody was really, really close. 80%. That's gone down. In years past, just a couple of years ago. So this from the central region, which is what we're analyzing here, it's actually gone down by 1.6%. AVs nationally are also down by almost a percentage point. So, I just think it's a trend of, go back to that idea that conceptually PPOs are driving a lot more of the cost. And so you've seen a trend more towards the high deductible health plan or HSAs. So anyway, so here are your averages. Traditional plans, PPOs this year, on average, are covering 80% of the cost. High deductible health plans, HSAs, on average, are covering 73% of the cost. And a regional performance plan, which is like, if I'll just give you one example. If you carve out BJC, which we know is a super high cost area in St. Louis, some carriers offer this sort of a plan. The average actuarial value is 92%. So I'm going to say it again. I said it last year. If you and your broker are not talking about regional options, you should be. You need to start asking questions, because it doesn't just involve carving out BJC. There are new trending regional options where you have like primary care physician folks right down the road, where your people can take them, their spouse, their whole family, walk in day of, primary care physician based like providers, and get all the treatments for $0. That exists. That's a real thing. So when you see these regional performance plans have such a high actuarial value, that's why. And usually they are equal or lower in cost to the PPO. So y'all should look at that. On a national basis, we were right in line with the HSA plan percentage-wise. We're a percentage point lower than, as far as a richness is concerned, on the PPOs. And the regional performance, we are doing much better. We're 3%. So we're 300 basis points higher from a richness perspective than our national peers. Very good. Okay. Questions? No, good job, everyone. You all did great. You were very, very close. Okay, now the other topic, right? Employee contributions. So this is the most visible piece of your plan to your employees. This is the part that they feel every month or every 2 weeks or however you do deductions. And the thing that we'll kind of focus on from the benchmarking here is that it's a really important aspect, obviously, for employees who are basing their selections on the cheapest plan possible, but for everyone. The goal that we recommend for our clients is to have at least one plan that is at or below peer group average for both employee and family tiers. We're going to look at both. There's some really interesting results here at the as we look at kind of the report target national averages. But before we jump, let's play another game. Does anyone want to guess what is the average cost, average employee premium contribution for a PPO in the central region? Average. What you got?
$45.
Oh my gosh, Aaron, you get way too rich of a plan. Dadgum, girl.
I don't know. It's a guess.
Ooh, Jess guessed 150. Great guess, Jess. Great guess. Very close. Or any other guesses? 300. Whoa. 160. Kristen, well, yeah.
This
Kelsey,
is why I'm
400.
never
Woo.
going on prices right.
Janet at 250, Courtney at 130, Kelsey at 220. Yeah, I got all good guesses, and I think all well within the realm of where we're at. The answer is $168. So you all were very, very close. Okay. Now I want you to pay attention. You'll notice there are two colors again on each set of these graphs. The bottom color represents the employee, the monthly deduction for employee only. Okay. The top lighter colors represent the deductions for the family tiers. So this gives you both an idea of what we're looking at. And again, this is just employee only premium contributions. This isn't like total cost of what we're looking at based on plan and plan type. The couple quick notes year over year, the central contributions went up by 1.9%. So the cost have gone up by 1.9% on employees. But nationally, it went up by almost 3%. And so a lot of groups out there not doing what they could be doing to control catastrophic claims and get out ahead of, all the pieces that help you control. And, again, not to be a USI commercial, but we have many groups. I have one group in Missouri that hasn't had any increase in 14 years, 0 increase to the plan or their employees, no plan changes, no nothing. Now they take a very aggressive strategy on how they help their population manage catastrophic claims and things like that. So they still have claims, but they're caught early. But something to think about as you kind of look at some of the slides here. The HSA, we are higher nationally, which this breaks my heart because this is something that I'm a big believer of, is quality high deductible health plans with health savings accounts attached. But $126 on average. The family coverage, however, was significantly less than the PPOs at $514. Now, you do have a higher deductible, obviously. But with a well-managed deal, if you can book savings, that's kind of the idea behind the HSA, that you have money to pay for it in the years where you run more poorly. The PPO, again, 168 versus the national average of 167. So the employee component was very close. Our family coverage in the central region, believe it or not, is actually lower. So we were at 718 versus the national traditional plan average of 777. Now, back to that regional performance network. Come on, y'all. Well, talk to me now. $142 and $560 for family versus our national peers at 147 and 788 for family coverage. So we are doing regional performance-based plans much better than anywhere else in the country. Good for us. If you're not looking at that or considering that, might be something that you want to ask your folks about, or certainly we'd be happy to help with any sort of questions around what that looks like. So it's richer, if you remember, 92% versus 89 nationally. And now you're seeing the employee contribution is $228 less than national peers. Questions on that? Any questions, anyone? No, they're like, come on, Derek. Next guessing game. Where you at, man? Let's do this thing. All right. Now, this is my favorite slide. Oh, I nerd out. I love this slide. I love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. What we're going to look at is the total employee cost on average. And you go, well, Derek, how in the world do you know that? Come on, man. Okay, fair. We didn't used to know it because all we could really see was the premium contributions the employees made every month. You could kind of guesstimate right? But what we did at USI, we're like, we're not good with that answer. So we got all our nerds in a room, our actuaries, our underwriters, all the people, right? I wasn't smart enough to be in that room, unfortunately. And they said, hey, how can we do this? And so what we did, we have a predictive modeling database that of 30 million members. And so we set up a component where we can run your plan designs through that database and give, based on plan design, an average out-of-pocket costs every month. So we take the payroll deduction, which is easy, and the point of service costs, right? How much they'll be paying on average at the point of service. And we combine those two to give you a total average, monthly average for each of the groups. Now, I'm not going to make you guess on this one because this is kind of a wild, deep slide. So I'm just going to jump on over. So here you go, folks. If you have employees who come to you and say, this has just gotten too expensive, I can't do this anymore, I don't know what to do, which is all legitimate, valuable arguments, for some organizations. But as far as factual data set, here is what you're looking at on average. The dark color, again, is the employee component. This is the employee costs. The light color is the family coverage. Okay. So you can see on average, again, I keep barking this horn. The regional performance plan crushed everything else. The average employee cost on a plan like that is only $207 a month. Come on now. That's fantastic, right? That's really, really exceptional. The PPO at 358 and the HSA at 377 for employee only. On family, it was 1238, 1265, and then dang near 40% less at 742 for the regional. On the national, we are right in line. We're again basically what you've kind of seen trending through this whole presentation. We're lower on employee only. We're higher on. I'm sorry, we are right in line on employee only. We are lower on the family costs. I think other. Oh, the other point I want to make on this: total employee cost went up by 9%. Total employee costs went up by 9%. And you go, well, how's that make sense? Because we only increased their premiums by, if you remember from a couple slides ago, by 1.9%. Well, because point of service, a lot of you are probably stuck in the middle of the Anthem MU saga that finally resolved itself thanks to the state legislature. I hate to give the government credit for anything good, but they did good on that one, I guess. Or you're in the middle of the Cigna BJC, which, by the way, you didn't hear this from me. Actually, you did. I can say it out loud. I know it's not official, but we have been told by executives at Cigna and BJC the documents have been signed. They've reached an agreement. It's not public yet. They've not produced that yet, but I suspect they will in the next couple of days. So if you were pulling your hair out, stressed out about that, we are hearing it has been resolved. But again, I'll believe it when I see it in the press, I guess. So anyway,
it was being recorded.
It is, and I was recorded. Oh my gosh, yeah. Don't send this until after they settle.
We'll wait till the announcement.
That's right. So I love this data. I absolutely love it. If you're like, hey, Derek, I want to see this and I want to see it for total employer cost, right? I want to see it for total employer cost. We have that. We don't have time to go through it today, but I'd be happy. Just reach out to myself or Aaron. And Aaron sent me like 5 or 6 people last year. So I'd be happy to share that and get you that information. So, and yeah, Kristen, you're right. People have been so stressed out. So that's just let's keep it here for now. But I wouldn't have mentioned it if I didn't have it on very, very good authority. The documents have literally already been signed. So
we're HR people. We're good with keeping secrets.
That's right. There you go. And then going out to dinner and getting enough wine to share those secret stories with each other and laugh for a couple hours. All right. I call it my crazy people stories. I'm like, all right, give me your best crazy people stories. So next, plan strategy. Okay, this keeps doing this, ticking me off. So from this perspective, we're really just going to look at the management of how other peers are managing plans, how other peers are facing some of the prescription drug challenges, and then lastly is sort of retirement readiness and how people are kind of looking at that on a national and central basis. A lot of strategies to look at help with rising healthcare costs. Obviously, I'm preaching to the choir here. If you compare in 2002 obesity, no state had more than 29% of the population with a BMI greater than 30. And here we are 20 years later, multiple states have 45% of their population with a BMI greater than 30. They said in 10 years, it will be more rare to have someone with a fit body than a Rolex. I thought was very interesting statistic. And I am part of that statistic. And so that makes me go, man, I need to do something with my life here. Excuse me, everyone. Allergies have been just insane.
I'm
So,
more surprised at the amount of people that are going to be able to afford a Rolex.
well, I mean, that's, yeah,
I mean, seriously.
yeah, that was a surprising statistic, I thought. But anyway, and then cancer is another one. We've seen escalation rates, diabetic rates escalate, and it's just there are things you can do, especially with the developments in medicine that we have. So strategies to health. Again, I've got multiple groups haven't had any increase in 5 years, 6 years. One who hasn't had any increase in 14 years. How? Well, the first component that we implement that has worked exceptionally well is we increase their primary care engagement. Okay, we get them engaged with the doctor every year to where if they have something off in their blood marker or something of the like, them and their doctor can talk about that. They can get out ahead of those kind of storms, if you will. As healthcare costs continue to rise, employers are really under more pressure to find smarter and just really more sustainable ways to support the employee well-being without breaking the budget. So it's not just about cutting costs. It's really about investing in the right areas to drive better outcomes for both your business and your employees. So second element of that is like cancer care management. We're just, there's so many cancers out there now that 15 years ago, you had a 50-50 shot. Now, if you catch it stage 0, stage 1, you have a 100% survival, 5-year survival. It's crazy. It's awesome. It's so good. But if your folks aren't engaging with care, they're not going to catch it stage 1 because they're not feeling bad at stage 1 typically. So something to think about. And then lastly, modern diabetic care options. You got folks out there that are undiagnosed that don't want to be diagnosed. That's part of the problem. So we can do something when we can treat it. But if you're not treating it and you're just blind's eye to it, you are a dialysis claim waiting to happen, unfortunately. And so we're trying to help companies address that. So how do we do that, right? Well, first off, what we're finding is really offering meaningful incentives. That's it, or disincentives, if you will. I say, there's a carrot method and a stick method. At USI, we recommend an orange stick. Okay, and so it's like, and I can explain more of what that means down the road. But basically, offer a meaningful incentive that's actually going to move the needle on people engaging with the primary care physician and improving the compliance with recommended screening. So establishing that relationship with the PCP to help catch issues early. So last year, 36% of employers were rewarding for some sort of PCP engagement. Nationally, it was 35. We're kicking their butt. All right, keep rolling. Of percentage of employers offering direct or virtual primary care, 28%. Central region, let's go. Heck yeah. Usually it starts on the coast and kind of comes to us. So we're whooping tail here. I love that. They're nationally only 23%. So good for us for being tech friendly, tech forward, if you will. Cancer care, we are not doing as well. Okay, centers of excellence for that. We're 10 basis points under, not the end of the world there, but on like second opinion engagement, we're significantly under. So this is something that as a region we need to look at before people just kind of jump into treatment or choose not to jump into treatment. the value of diabetic prevention to impact really heart attack, strokes, what have you. So we looked at, we studied our book of business here, a prevalence of diabetic and heart attack stroke in the USI book of business, as we see anywhere from a 9% on a type 2 diabetic, 8.6, and then there's a 1.7% chance of heart attack or stroke. The prevalence, though, among diabetics in members with diabetes having a heart attack or stroke, total prevalence that we saw was 23%. And so this is really kind of a hard slide to explain, but I'll tell you, this is based off 2.7 million members. And so the prevalence increased dramatically when we saw like type 2 diabetes. I always see that guy in the diabetes. I can't ever say that word right because of him. He's ruined me for life. So, but where type 2 diabetics have impactable, treatable things they can be doing, it reduces your risk for serious heart conditions significantly. Again, approximately 1.7% on heart attack or stroke in our book of business. It jumps to 23% among the 9%. Again, I know it's a hard slide to explain. I'm sorry, everyone, but with diabetes. So you're 23% more likely, if you're in that 9% of members, to have a heart attack or stroke if you're not doing these sort of treatments. Whew, that was an intense slide. Sorry, everybody. I know it was a lot. Kelly said there are not any doctors that will take on stage 1 and stage 2 people in the area because there's shortage of doctors in the state. You're absolutely right, Kelly. They're sending people out of state, and the wait list is over a year-long shortage of cancer care. Yes, that is a huge issue. And one of the other things that we're doing, back to that kind of regional provider, that's why we are engaging a lot of folks with direct-to-care facilities, because they can get in day of, and the turnaround, and there is not a as intense of a wait time, because they're able to press that internally, even to the point that a lot of those facilities are hiring their own cancer care treatment folks. So great point. You're exactly right. There is a fix for that, even in the rural areas. I think you might have put that you were in Bloomington, I believe. But anyway, so connect with me offline. Happy to talk about it. Now, the next one that everyone's like, oh man, as soon as I turn the slide, drug costs, RX costs are just insane. And it's not just the GLP-1s, Wegovy's, Mounjaros that everyone's trying to use to lower the obesity rate, right? It's drugs just overall. So overall pharmacy spend grew 13% in 2023 compared to only 9% in 2024. We are seeing that trend continue upwards as pharmacy costs continue to drive total costs. So 3 of the big ones: gene therapy drugs. If your group has not amended your plan to exclude all or some of gene therapies, you are running hot. You are flying blind right now. Okay. You need to do something about this. I said this last year, folks. These drugs are $2 million, $3 million, $4 million a script. Okay. And the idea is not to get them out of your plan so people don't have any access to them. That's not what's happening. What's happening is, if you exclude them, there's a performance or a manufacturer assistance program where people can still get those drugs if they need them, but it does so without completely blowing up your plan for everyone to not even have medical coverage, because last year when we spoke, I think there were 6 approved drugs. There were 1,500 in the pipeline. That number has more than doubled. Okay. GLP-1s. We've already kind of talked on that very briefly. That there's a lot of $1,200 claims coming through that are not just diabetic treatment. And then lastly, biosimilars. This has been a really positive piece where these drug manufacturers continue to pay off politicians, and therefore they get their patents extended, even though it's completely against U.S. patent law. But what we've done in the meantime is create biosimilars that are same juice, same result, lower cost. So it's kind of like the new generic, if you will, for some of these specialty drugs. So we've seen that work really well. So just kind of tracking results there. Gene therapy drugs, 69% of groups in your region were covering all last year. 23% indicated they are looking at excluding coverage, and only 8% had actually amended the plan documents. GLP-1s, 17% of groups in central region covered, and only 7% considered covering on top of that 17% versus the national number of 10%. And then the formula options to address biosimilars, only 5% of folks are using a narrow formulary, and that's not necessarily what we're suggesting. The custom formulary list, a lot of carriers are moving to but the biosimilars, folks, especially on drugs like Humira, for example, which everyone was so worried about, which is a really high cost drug and it's a great drug. We have not gotten kickback. Some of the carriers moved to a mandatory biosimilar, and we are not hearing noise and kickback of the drugs not working. Like literally, it's shocked to me how little kickback there have been from the members and the users. So if that's not something you're considering, you probably should. Michelle asked a great question. She said, isn't the coverage of GLP-1s for weight loss dependent upon insurance company and not the employer? Not necessarily, Michelle. It is if you're fully insured, yes. But if you are self-funded, you can dictate what is and is not allowed on your plan. And so there have been some groups, like there was one state that said, hey, we're going to cover GLP-1s for weight loss. 6 months into the plan, they pulled the plug. So we can't do it anymore. Their total plan costs had tripled. Not drug costs. Their total plan costs had tripled. And they're like, we can't do this anymore. So they excluded that out of their program because they were self-funded. So great question. There is more control than a lot of people understand. So retirement rate, readiness and rates. One of the main reasons people don't retire is because they're worried about their cost of healthcare in retirement. I totally get that. So delayed retirement can cost and limit you in hiring new employees, advanced opportunities, what have you. So there really needs to be a targeted solution for this. So this is another thing we analyzed this year. How are companies supporting future retirement needs? 401k engagement, most groups are doing that, about half of them. Medicare education, this is super important, y'all. And it's not just for your 65-year-olds. And it's not just for your 62 to 64-year-olds. This is for your 40-year-olds who have parents that are 65 that have been on the railroad for 44 years and refused to retire because he's afraid he's going to lose his good benefits. Right. And so these sort of sessions are becoming more and more prevalent, and you really should be doing this as an organization for your entire staff. And then when they come around, I can't wait to turn 65. Man, Medicare is awesome. I don't care who you are, how rich your plan is. I don't care. Medicare is better. I promise you, Medicare is better. I used to say 9 out of 10 times. It's not. It's 10 out of 10 times. It's always better. So I don't know if it'll still be there when I get there, but I'm gonna hope and wish and pretend like it will. So, emphasis on HSA accounts and investments as an investment vehicle. Still a pretty small percentage of groups doing that. There's an opportunity there. Deferred comp plans. We're better than the national average, but and then lastly, Social Security education. Very small amount of groups doing that. So maybe some areas of opportunity for you to be kind of a differentiator as far as what you're educating your people on. All right, employee well-being. We're going to look at pop health, financial well-being, and family planning. And I know we're getting tight on time, so I'm going to rock fire here. So pop health, we are behavioral health solutions, employees offering wellness through physical and behavioral health support programs. Obviously, it can lead to healthier and more engaged workforce. And that's really the idea here. It's not savings. It's how do we help our people stay healthy and stay alive and get to enjoy their retirement. So we're 28% versus 26% are offering behavioral health solutions of some capacity. I'd love to see this number go up. Only 17% of groups are offering some sort of chronic care management. And lastly, musculoskeletal. Yes, I did it. I just jumped to MSK. Everyone says MSK now. Because it's a hard word to say. Only 9% of groups are offering solutions. I'm telling you right now, the biggest driver of cost that we have seen in the last couple years of comorbidity is MSK, believe it or not. MSK is shot through the roof cost wise. So there are a lot of really good programs. And it's, again, from a comorbidity perspective, the two top drivers I see are stress and musculoskeletal issues. So we're trying to address both. What's stress driven by? Well, thank you, Aaron. Perfect segue. Ba-ba. Very often, stress is driven by the financial well-being of your employees. So we do a huge job here in the central region of reimbursing tuition. Well done, us. That is tuition that directly related to the employee, not necessarily their children. So that's what we're managing or looking at here. But financial wellness resource training, only 18% of groups in our region are doing that. And student loan repayment or refinancing, 4% versus 6% nationally. So just some interesting data points. Family leave, come on now. Maternity leave, we are behind. We are. This is shocking to me. Now I'll say though, a lot of groups do this with other benefit offerings. So just because we aren't offering straight maternity, 60 days or whatever, doesn't mean that they're not getting time off, paid time off, and what have you. A lot of people do it with the PTO. There are a lot of different ways to approach this sort of a benefit, but we are behind. What shocks me is that the same percentage in the central region offer paternity leave at 36%. Now, usually it's a lower day count. If memory serves, I think the day count is 30 days versus the 60 with maternity. But that's just an interesting stat. That number, even a couple of years ago, was 0. We didn't offer paternity leave in the central region. It just wasn't something that, our society was, our culture was behind. So it's pretty interesting. Okay, this is a big fertility treatment coverage. This has become more and more and more, a topic of interest as people dive into this. But fertility testing, 16% of groups are offering that now as a covered offering. And so fertility drugs, 13% versus we're below the national average in every one of these. But I am seeing this grow. Like I said, normally these things are introduced on the coasts. They hang out there for a little bit, and then if they find success, they work their way to us. IVF, we're covering 12% of groups are covering IVF, and usually there's a cap on that as far as how many times you can do that. It's kind of like a dental lifetime cap, similarly, but fertility counseling, 9% of groups, and then egg harvesting or freezing, 5% of groups in the central region do that versus 8% nationally. So the conclusion, everyone, first off, hope this was helpful data and helping you understand kind of how you stack for some of your peers. Benchmarking, it really helps optimize employee benefit spending. And we use this as our baseline. So when I go to design a 5-year strategic plan for a group, I start with benchmarking, because to understand where we want to go, we need to understand where we're at. Excuse me. And there's no better way to do that than see how your plan stacks up versus peers and what is happening in the marketplace. So really, shift focus away from just individual plan design elements like copays and deductibles, and helps you focus on an overall plan value, actuarial value, and use that to really drive decisions and to support your arguments when your employees come in and ask questions. The goal, provide your organization with a concise benchmarking, data set for the purpose of strategic planning and communication and design. So that's really what we try to help groups do with the larger full plan. And we open that up every February and March. And usually that's when we do the intake time. However, if you want it now, you can participate now. You just won't be part of the aggregate total until next year. But you can participate and get a report that shows you how you fall amongst all your peers in regard to what we talked about. And then the last slide before we close it up, AI. That's right. Every time I say it, I still just picture John Connor's face just looking at me, just shaking his head like, I tried telling you, man, you can't give the computers too much control. They're going to come after you. Uh, so, but here are the facts. AI is no longer a futuristic concept, and it certainly is not just a fun little thing we can do to ask goofy questions and get funny responses. It's here, it's real. The US alone has invested over $400 billion in the development of artificial intelligence. It's not going anywhere. And get on the train or get left behind. Okay. So, one of the ways that we are approaching is from a decision making tool perspective to just look at predicting future cost and how AI is making an impact. So, if your broker is not talking to you about AI and how they're using it to help you and help your employees, and as you continue to hire younger and younger and younger, support those employees, they're behind, you're behind. So just a couple ways I try to quickly summarize simple components around how. First one is smart plan selection tools, right? Remember the three consumers. This tool could really help drive decision making. When people understand their benefits, they're happier with their benefits, even if it's not a rich plan. When they understand it, they're happier on average. And so AI is really doing a lot of things to help employees select the best plan for their unique needs. And in doing that, you'd be shocked at how many times I get in here. People don't know what copay is. They don't really know what it is. So they just don't use their plan. And, you may have someone who looks uber healthy and they're like the person we all hate that like jogs to work, like, and while I'm eating my cheeseburger and I'm like, oh, I hate Doug. Oh, Doug's the worst. Right. But Derek gets an annual physical every year. And so I'm constantly monitoring, checking if I have any lurking things going on. Doug often doesn't because he's healthy. Why would he? Well, Doug's dad could have had high blood pressure. Doug could have blood pressure through the roof and have no idea. And Doug is a heart attack, stroke, knock on wood, waiting to happen because of it's 50% activity, but the other 50% is hereditary. And so it can be managed with a simple statin pill that he could take every day. But if he doesn't know, he doesn't know. So this could help with just simple communication pieces and understanding of plans like that. Next, predictive modeling, like I've been talking about. You can really leverage AI to identify risk patterns, likelihood of chronic diseases in your population, and implement proactive strategies to help folks catch those and manage those conditions. And the wonderful offset of that is the most important is they're healthy and they're still with us 5 years from now. But the wonderful offset of that is typically when we do that, their average costs, take cancer, for example, 5-year cost, $100,000 versus $300,000, $400,000. If it's like some sort of stage 4 drug treatment, 500,000, insane numbers. And so it also helps the total cost of the plan, which helps the total cost of the employee. Chatbots, virtual assistants, again, it's kind of streamlined benefit facts, onboarding, open enrollment. It's cutting down on the burden of the HR team, but then also helping your employee have a private place they can go to learn some of these things and understand some of these strategies. And then again, personalized financial wellness. I can't tell you how huge this is. Stress, depression, comorbidities are driven when people are unhappy with their work, unhappy with their debt. A lot of times they don't even understand debt. They get out of college, they get all these credit card offers and like, oh, this is awesome. It's not awesome, but they don't know any better. And so AI tools can help employees through retirement planning, HSA contribution understanding, financial decisions, and using real-time insights for financial behavioral patterns. So consider asking your broker or vendor about what AI-powered features they're rolling out and how they can help drive smarter, more cost-effective benefit strategies and more educated employees. That's the show, folks. That's 5 minutes early. We rocked it. We rolled it. Any questions for me before I we go? Anything of interest? Any weird, funny, people are crazy, tinfoil hat stories you want to throw out there?
Doesn't look like we have any right now. For those that are online, though, we talk about those chatbots and virtual assistants creating like benefit FAQs, onboarding, open enrollment helps. If your vendor doesn't have anything or you aren't ready to like dive right into it like immediately, just so those of you are on the line, we launched Amy Hart this week. If you weren't aware, it's AI and HR week at AIM. So we launched Amy Hart. So if you want to kind of see how it works in action, get her assistance. It's your AI HR assistant, essentially. Go out there, see how it does. Say, hey, I need help building out a little FAQ for our benefits. Help me do that real quick. Let me know what the pitfalls are, what I'm missing in this FAQ guide. She can help you build that out, see what it does, see if it's something you want to explore further within your organization. It's a great resource to start out with if you want to dive into AI further within the benefits realm. And then you can say, hey, broker, let's go further into this. I want to do this full on AI in our benefits.
We
Did
got
you?
some good comments on it. First off, Doug, I love pun. Your comment. Doug said you were right, Derek. Doug didn't know. Doug knows now. LOL. And his name is Doug Love. That is the best. Yes, you made my day, Doug Love. Thank you. That's so great. And then Janet also cracked me up. She called Lauren Amy. That's great.
But that is how that is how it's spelled. That is how it's spelled. It's
That's so
Amy
great.
Hart. Amy Hart. Yep.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you all so much. Really,
All
really
right,
appreciate
awesome.
your time.
Well, thank you everyone for attending today. We really appreciate you joining. Derek, thank you so much for all the information. As always, it's fantastic, and we'll probably have you again next year. We'll see you same time, same place, same bat channel,
I love it.
essentially.
I love it. If there are questions for next year specific to data sets that you want, like if you were like, hey, I'd love to see what the total plan cost average is or something, let me know and I can add a slide. It's not a problem. I can go pull that.
All right, you guys heard it here. So prep for next year. Let me know what you guys want to see for him next year, and we'll prep ahead of time.
That's right.
All right. Well, thank you all for joining. We'll see you all next month and have a great, awesome day. Bye,
Thanks
everyone.
all. Bye now.